Your car is bleeding money right now, not when it breaks down, not when you blow a tire. Right now, while it sits perfectly healthy in your driveway. Look at the upper left corner of your windshield. Look at that little translucent sticker. The one commanding you to return to the service bay in 3,000 miles, or 5,000 kilometers, or 6 months. That sticker is not an engineering requirement. It is not based on the molecular chemistry of what is actually circulating inside your engine right now. It is a marketing invention, a brilliantly disguised subscription model for your vehicle, and it is costing American drivers billions of dollars every single year. Once you understand how long a single drop of modern engine oil is actually engineered to last, your annual maintenance costs are going to drop permanently. To understand the lie, you have to understand where the lie started. Decades ago, the 3,000-mile oil change wasn't a myth. It was a mechanical necessity. Let me take you back to the 1970s. Engines back then were beautifully sloppy. Manufacturing tolerances were loose. Pistons rattled inside cylinders, and fuel delivery was handled by carburetors that dumped rich, unburned gasoline directly into the combustion chamber. That raw fuel, along with moisture and raw carbon, washed past the piston rings and dumped straight into the crankcase. And the oil they used to protect those engines? Basic, unrefined mineral oil. It wasn't engineered, it was just boiled out of the ground. It was a chaotic, randomized chemical soup of varying hydrocarbon chains. Under the intense heat of an engine, the short molecules would literally boil off. The long molecules would tangle together, oxidizing into a thick, black, choking tar. Sludge. If you didn't change that oil every 3,000 miles, that sludge would suffocate the oil passages and choke your engine to death. But look at the calendar. This is 2026. Your engine is built with the precision of a Swiss watch. The gaps between metal components are measured in fractions of a millimeter, and more importantly, the fluid protecting those components is completely different. Full synthetic oil is not pumped out of the ground. It is constructed in a laboratory. Imagine pouring a bucket of rocks, pebbles, and coarse sand onto a concrete floor. That is old-school mineral oil. The jagged pieces grind against each other, creating internal friction. Now, imagine a bucket filled with perfectly identical, microscopic, high-strength glass spheres. That is full synthetic oil, polyalpha olefins, esters. These molecules are chemically constructed to have uniform size, flawless structure, and unbreakable strength. When the metal peaks of a camshaft violently smash against a lifter under hundreds of pounds of spring pressure, those synthetic molecules do not fracture. They do not shear. They act as an invincible liquid armor. Modern engines use turbochargers that spin at 100,000 RPMs and reach temperatures that would have instantly baked 1970s oil into a crusty, hardened lacquer. Yet today's synthetic oils glide through that blistering inferno without breaking a single chemical bond. They are engineered to resist oxidation and maintain complete thermal stability for 10,000 miles, often 15,000 miles. So, if this fluid is practically indestructible, why does the service advisor at the dealership look you in the eye and tell you to change it at 5,000 kilometers? Because if you don't pull your car into their bay, they cannot sell you anything else. The oil change is the cheese in the mousetrap. It gets your car on the lift. Once you are in the waiting room, the real profit generation begins. They can't upsell you a $150 throttle body cleaning if you aren't there. They can't push a $200 carbon deposit removal service. They can't charge you $60 for a cabin air filter that costs $9 on Amazon and takes 30 seconds to snap into place. Frequent oil changes are not about protecting your engine. They are about maintaining a steady, predictable flow of foot traffic into the service department. Here's exactly how the psychological trap is sprung. You pull into the bay. A technician pulls the dipstick out of your engine. He wipes it on a pristine, bright white rag. He walks it over to you. The oil smeared on the rag is pitch black. He lowers his voice. He tells you your oil is burnt. He says it's dirty. He warns you that your engine is at risk if you don't flush it immediately. This is the most successful visual lie in the history of automotive maintenance. Oil turning black is not a sign of catastrophic failure. It is proof that the oil is doing exactly what it was engineered to do. Modern combustion creates soot, unimaginably fine, submicron soot particles. Your high-tech synthetic oil is packed with chemical detergents and dispersants. Their sole purpose in life is to find those microscopic soot particles, wrap around them like a protective envelope, and actively repel them from one another so they cannot clump together to form sludge. That jet black color on the white rag, you're not looking at dirt destroying your engine. You're looking at billions of safely contained impurities being carried harmlessly away from your critical bearings. Brand new synthetic oil can turn black after a single trip to the grocery store. Judging the health of your engine oil by its color is exactly as foolish as judging a person's internal health by the color of their shirt. It means absolutely nothing. You do not have to take my word for this, and you do not need to pay a laboratory $50 to prove it to you. You can test your oil yourself tonight in your garage for pennies. It is called the oil blotter test. All you need is a piece of standard filter paper. A coffee filter works perfectly. After your engine has completely cooled, pull the dipstick and let one single drop of oil fall onto the dead center of the paper. That's it. Walk away. Let it sit completely undisturbed for 24 hours. As that single droplet slowly wicks into the fibrous matrix of the paper, capillary action separates the heavy solids from the liquid base. It is a slow-motion chromatography experiment happening right on your workbench. When you return the next day, you will see a pattern of concentric rings. The darkest center is the deposit zone, that's the carbon. Surrounding that is the diffusion zone, where finer contaminants are carried outward. And the outermost ring, wide and relatively clear, is the base oil itself. If the transitions between those zones are smooth and gradual, and the outer clear ring is wide, your oil is perfectly healthy. It is functioning flawlessly. However, if you see a sharply defined, harsh black dot in the center with zero spreading and no outer halo, the oil has finally lost its ability to disperse contaminants. That is when you change it. I guarantee you, if you drop 5,000 kilometer synthetic oil onto that paper, it will show a massive, healthy diffusion ring. You are throwing away perfectly good chemistry. At this point, the dealership will try to use the ultimate weapon, your own owner's manual. They will open the book and point to the severe driving schedule, which mysteriously demands 5,000 kilometer changes. And then they will convince you that your totally normal life is actually severe. Do you drive in stop and go traffic? Severe. Do you take trips under 5 miles? Severe. Do you occasionally drive in the dust, the cold, or the heat? Severe. It is a brilliant framing tactic. Yes, extreme idling as a taxi cab in freezing weather is hard on oil. But driving your car on the highway at 65 miles per hour, getting the engine fully up to operating temperature so internal condensation and fuel blow-by instantly evaporate, that is the easiest possible condition for engine oil. If you are using a top-tier full synthetic and your driving habits are remotely normal, changing your oil every 10,000 kilometers, or once a year, is an incredibly safe, conservative baseline. The secret the industry desperately wants to keep buried is that the limiting factor is almost never the synthetic oil. It is the filter. If you leave a cheap, bottom-dollar paper filter on your engine for 15,000 miles, the filter media will clog. When it clogs, a mechanical bypass valve violently snaps open to prevent the engine from starving, and raw, unfiltered oil begins circulating through your block. That is what causes damage. The true formula for automotive longevity is not dumping your synthetic oil every 3 months. It is buying a premium, high-capacity, synthetic blend oil filter, pairing it with quality synthetic oil, and letting them do the job they were designed to do. Let's look at the hard, undeniable laboratory data. When independent labs analyze used engine oil, they look for 2 critical metrics: viscosity and total base number, or TBN. Viscosity is the fluid's thickness, its ability to maintain a protective film between crushing metal parts. TBN is its chemical sponge. When combustion occurs, it naturally creates sulfur and nitrogen oxides. When those mix with trace amounts of internal moisture, they create highly corrosive acids that want to eat your cylinder walls alive. TBN is the built-in alkaline reserve that actively hunts down and neutralizes those acids before they can strike. In real-world documented tests, premium synthetic oil run to 15,000 kilometers consistently shows the exact same results. The viscosity is completely stable. Metal wear particles, the microscopic shavings of iron and aluminum that indicate engine damage, are virtually non-existent. And the TBN, the chemical sponge, it is still well above the critical danger threshold. The oil is still fighting. It is still protecting. It is not dead. The automotive ecosystem benefits every time you doubt your vehicle. The quick lube chains get their volume. The dealerships get their upsells. The oil manufacturers move millions of gallons of unnecessary product. The entire machine runs on the momentum of a habit that stopped being mechanically necessary 30 years ago. But you know the truth now. You can approach your next service visit with absolute ice-cold confidence. When the advisor pulls out the dipstick and tries to scare you with dark oil, you will know exactly what you're looking at. You can look them in the eye, smile, and say, "Looks like the dispersant packages are holding the soot and suspension perfectly. Just the oil and the filter today, nothing else." There is no need to argue. There is no need to feel pressured. You simply stop participating in their revenue stream. Understanding how your machine actually works is the ultimate hack. It is the only way to separate engineering reality from dealership tradition. The most valuable upgrade you will ever put into your car isn't a performance part. It is knowledge. Subscribe to the channel. Share this video with every single driver you know who is still throwing away perfect synthetic oil every 3 months. Next time, we're opening the vault on the lifetime transmission fluid myth. And trust me, what the dealership isn't telling you about that sealed transmission is going to cost you a lot more than an oil change.